Today is Monday, October 27th. What to know about a potential trade truce in the making between the U.S. and China, while talks are getting more tense with another top trading partner. Also, an update about that high-profile jewel heist at the Louvre as 2 people are now in custody, and who's already considering a 2028 presidential run. Plus, why planes were grounded at the Los Angeles airport, where an AI security system confused a teen's bag of chips for a gun, and the reason it's a big night for gambling. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to the NewsWorthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. High-stakes face-to-face meeting between the presidents of the world's 2 largest economies is coming up later this week. And already, the countries say they've come up with a framework for a trade deal. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said there's now a very substantial framework to avoid the U.S. imposing another 100% tariff on Chinese imports. He says China will buy U.S. soybeans as a boost for American farmers, and he expects China to delay new limits on rare earth exports used in everything from smartphones to military tech. President Trump meets Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday, just days before those extra tariffs are set to kick in. The highly anticipated meeting will be Trump's final stop of his trip through Asia. Already over the weekend, Trump stopped in Malaysia, where he signed separate trade agreements with that country, Cambodia, and Thailand. Today, Trump is meeting with Japan's new and first woman prime minister, Sanai Takaichi. The trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada just escalated again. President Trump announced over the weekend he's slapping another 10% tariff on Canadian imports, calling it punishment for what he described as a hostile act. He's referring to that controversial TV ad out of Ontario that we told you about on Friday, featuring former President Ronald Reagan speaking about tariffs. Trump says the ad misrepresented Reagan's comments, claiming Reagan actually loved tariffs, while the ad used audio from a 1987 speech warning that trade barriers hurt workers and lead to job losses. Ontario's premier said the ad would be pulled starting today, but it still aired over the weekend during the World Series, and that apparently pushed Trump to act. The White House hasn't said when this new round of tariffs might take effect. The American military is putting more pressure on Venezuela. The Pentagon says it sent the world's largest aircraft carrier to the region, which was seen as a major escalation. Typically, it carries dozens of fighter jets, helicopters, and thousands of soldiers. It's not clear if those are all on board this time around. But the U.S. already has warships, drones, fighter planes, surveillance aircraft, and Marines in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. And yesterday, a guided missile destroyer docked at the capital of Trinidad and Tobago for joint military exercises. This kind of buildup is unusual, but the Trump administration says it's necessary to fight against what it calls narco-terrorism. And it says it's legal because drug cartels have been designated as terrorist organizations. At this point, American forces have launched strikes against at least 10 boats in the region, and President Trump says the land is next. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham told CBS News both Venezuela and Colombia could end up being targets. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, though, are demanding more information from the White House. It was one of the highest-profile museum thefts in a century at the most visited museum in the world, and now 2 people are in custody. French authorities say arrests were made over the weekend in connection with the multi-million-dollar jewel heist at the Louvre Museum in Paris. News outlets like the AP cite police sources who say both men were taken into custody over the weekend, one at the international airport in Paris as he allegedly tried to fly to Algeria, and another as he was apparently getting ready to travel to Mali. Investigators are reportedly using DNA left at the scene to tie at least one suspect to the crime. The heist happened in less than 8 minutes, with thieves using a lift to scale the museum's walls, smash display cases, and escape with crown jewels tied to French royalty and Emperor Napoleon. So far, the stolen items have not been recovered. While 2 suspects are in custody, the manhunt continues for at least 2 others. Hurricane Melissa has exploded into a Category 4 storm, and it's still strengthening. It could become the most powerful hurricane ever to hit Jamaica. Forecasters say the storm will likely become a Category 5 as it makes landfall late tonight or into tomorrow morning. And with that, Melissa could drop 30 to 40 inches of rain in parts of Jamaica and southern Haiti, enough to cause catastrophic flooding and cut off communities for days. Officials warn of extensive damage to infrastructure and long-lasting power and communication outages. The rain-related impacts from Melissa have already killed at least 3 people in Haiti and a 4th person in the Dominican Republic, where another person is still missing. And it doesn't stop there. The storm is expected to move over Cuba by late Tuesday and toward the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands by midweek. The system is not expected to affect the U.S., though some of its moisture might cause downpours in the New England area later this week. We have more news for you still ahead. But first, let's take a quick break. This episode is brought to you by OneSkin. Did you know this time of year it's totally normal for hair to shed a little more? Seasonal shedding can happen from cooler and drier conditions. But OneSkin's OS1 hair can help your hair stay healthy and strong. I love knowing I'm doing something for my hair today that will help its health long term. It's a lightweight, drug-free scalp serum that's powered by their patented OS1 peptide, which is scientifically proven to target aging at the cellular level, the same breakthrough that powers OneSkin's skincare line. And the results are impressive. In clinical studies, participants saw a 43% increase in hair thickness and a 40% increase in hair density after 6 months, along with fuller, healthier-looking hair that feels stronger over time. Born from over 10 years of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, so your scalp and your hair stay healthy now and as you age. Go to oneskin.co/hair and use code NewsWorthy for 15% off your first order. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Again, go to oneskin.co/hair and use the code NEWSWORTHY for 15% off your first order. Now, back to the news. The government shutdown is on day 27. The fallout is growing, and there's no sign of a deal coming anytime soon. The Senate is coming back together today, but as of this morning, senators have not spoken about any new ideas being brought to the table, just the same short-term resolution that's already failed a dozen times. And the House will be out of session again this week. Meanwhile, nearly 1.5 million other government workers, even those considered essential, are missing their full paychecks. That includes Capitol Police officers, public health officials, and air traffic controllers, even though they still have to work through the shutdown, only getting paid when it ends. Because of that, many more employees than usual are taking days off. And over the weekend, there was such a large staffing shortage at the Los Angeles International Airport that there had to be a ground stop for a couple of hours yesterday. A shortage of air traffic controllers also caused major flight delays in Phoenix and San Diego over the weekend. And the Transportation Secretary says travelers should prepare for more delays and cancellations around the country. In other parts of the government, work is totally suspended. And because of that, more services are set to be affected soon. For example, more than 40 million Americans are at risk of going without food assistance benefits. The USDA posted a notice on its website saying that aid won't go out at the start of next month like it normally would. And that's something lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have expressed concerns about. For now, the message from the leadership is the same on both sides as it's been for the last month. Republican leaders still say the only way out of a shutdown is to pass a temporary measure that keeps funding where it is for a while, then to start negotiating. Democratic leaders are still demanding negotiations to extend expiring healthcare subsidies before they vote to reopen the government. Stay tuned. For now, the White House has not been directly involved in negotiations to end the government shutdown, but it has taken some action. Remember, the Trump administration froze billions of dollars in funding meant for Democratic-led areas, started laying off thousands of federal workers, and shifted money around to make sure people like military personnel and immigration officers got their last paychecks. Then last week, President Trump announced a donor gave the government $130 million to help pay U.S. troops their next paycheck, too. Granted, the money would only pay about $100 to each service member, but it's not clear yet exactly how it will be distributed. And some critics questioned whether the U.S. military is legally able to accept such a large donation for this purpose. Either way, it's only a temporary solution, and the White House says next month's paychecks are not going out if this shutdown continues. Two of the Democratic Party's biggest names, California Governor Gavin Newsom and former Vice President Kamala Harris, both just hinted they may run for president in 2028. Newsom told CBS News' Sunday Morning he'd be lying if he said he wasn't considering it, adding that he's looking forward to who meets that moment after the 2026 midterms. Meanwhile, Harris told the BBC she's not done, saying she could possibly be president one day, though she hasn't made any decisions yet. The two have long been rising stars in California politics, and many expect they could end up rivals in the 2028 race, though that primary is expected to be the most wide-open field in a generation. Of course, whoever wins it will have to go up against a Republican in the general election, and at least one Trump ally claims that Republican could actually be President Trump again. Even though the U.S. Constitution says presidents have a 2-term limit, former White House aide Steve Bannon says there's a plan to get around that. A school's artificial intelligence security system triggered a major police response after mistaking a bag of chips for a possible gun. In Baltimore County, Maryland, police rushed to a high school after the AI gun detection system flagged what turned out to be a 16-year-old student holding a bag of Doritos. Officers arrived with guns drawn, handcuffed the teen, and searched him before realizing the weapon was just a snack. The company that makes the system, OmniAlert, said it regrets the incident, but still says the technology worked as intended. School officials also said the alert followed the correct protocols. This is a system used by schools and law enforcement across the country. But the teen in Maryland says he now feels on edge at school and waits for his ride inside the school to avoid the cameras. Of course, this adds to the questions about how reliable AI security systems really are and what might happen when they get it wrong. The FDA just approved a new drug to help women going through menopause. It's sold under the brand name Linkuit, and it's one of the few non-hormonal options for treating hot flashes and night sweats, which affect up to 80% of women during menopause. In clinical trials, women who took the drug reported fewer and less severe hot flashes and also slept better. It's expected to be available by November. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsor. Your liver is the second largest organ in your body, and it does a lot more than most of us realize. It's responsible for over 500 functions, filtering what we consume, storing vitamins and minerals, helping digestion, even impacting energy and sleep. But here's the thing. Over 30% of Americans have a sluggish liver without even knowing it. So I was intrigued when I learned about Dose. It's a natural, science-backed way to support one of the hardest working organs in your body. Each shot is formulated to help your liver do its job better, cleansing unwanted elements, aiding digestion, and helping you feel more energized over time. In fact, in a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, Dose for Your Liver lowered liver enzyme levels by 50% in over 86% of participants. Plus, each shot is equivalent to 17 shots of turmeric juice, and I can tell you, it tastes delicious. My husband and I both love how easy it is to take every morning. Save 25% on your first month of subscription by going to dosedaily.co/newsworthy or entering newsworthy at checkout. That's dosedaily.co/newsworthy for 25% off your first month subscription. Now, back to Money Monday. Today is a jackpot for the gambling industry. It's one of the rarest and busiest days in sports. It's what's known as a sports equinox, when games from all four major U.S. men's sports leagues, the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, all happen on the same day. Tonight, fans can catch Monday Night Football between the Commanders and Chiefs, Game 3 of the World Series between the Dodgers and Blue Jays, plus a regular slate of NBA and NHL action. And by the way, if you're more into soccer, there are options for that too, including the MLS playoffs. There's even WWE on the docket today as well. Today is also the only sports equinox of the year, and all of this means it could become one of the biggest days for betting, especially since more states have legalized sports gambling. At this point, it's legal in 38 states and Washington, D.C. Last year, reports show bettors across the U.S. wagered more than $16 billion in the month of November, the biggest month yet for legal sports betting. Today, billions more could trade hands. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back with even more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.